Hey, Krista, I'm so glad that you joined me. I'm really excited to have our conversation. You just give a little bit of a quick background on where you're located and who you were before you were a realtor.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me. So, I am a realtor, obviously, in the Silicon Valley area, which is predominantly San Jose area, I would say. I've been in real estate for 9 years now. And before that, I was in high tech, which kind of goes with it. So I started in tech. I worked for several companies when they went public, which was great. I was actually in HR, but I always had a dream for marketing and I wanted to do something. I have no background in marketing whatsoever. I had no business in wanting to be in marketing, but something about it was really appealing to me. So now I get to be in marketing.
That's
And
true.
yeah, with a lot of time, I was a stay-at-home mom until my babies went to preschool. In between that high-tech world of working crazy hours, I stayed home with my kids and I was like, I am not a stay-at-home mom. I give so much credit to so many people, but I just couldn't do it. I was lacking a lot of identity and it just didn't work great for me. I needed a job beyond that, right? So that's where real estate came in. It became something that I was really passionate about and I love connecting people. And so with that dream of marketing and connecting, that was where it came to fruition
So you said that was 8 or 9 years ago?
9 years ago.
Okay. So when you first started out, did you have like a vision of how you wanted to do it, or was it just like throwing spaghetti at the wall thing?
Very much spaghetti at the wall. I worked with a very traditional brokerage and I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, yay, I did it. I got my license and now
Now what?
yeah, and I went through the process. I interviewed a bunch of brokerages before I got my license. I was like, this is the plan. And then once I got to that point, it was, so who's going to tell me what I'm supposed to be doing?
Right.
Because this seems weird that
Tell
I
me
have
when
a
to clock
job.
in.
Yeah, I'm like, I have a job that I don't get paid for and I don't know how to do.
Yeah, and I'm paying to actually be in the business until I get money.
Exactly. And so I'm like, all right, I got to start listening to podcasts. I need to self educate. And that's the world of Tom Ferry and Brian Buffini. And people are just throwing names at me. And I'm like, I better start learning something. And of course, in the community of agents, learning from the people at my brokerage and people that were willing to give back to me and let me do open houses and all of
Hmm.
these things that I really wasn't qualified for yet. And I
But you had
started
a history in the
documenting.
business, so you actually were
Yeah,
qualified to be a business person.
absolutely. I just didn't know what I was supposed to do as a
Right.
realtor. And so I loved video from the beginning. It was something that I naturally was just really comfortable around. And so I started documenting that. I started posting market updates on my Facebook page and kind of just doing the things that I didn't see happening that much.
Hmm.
And that's how I started.
When or how did you get your very first deal when you started?
Open house.
That's
So
that was,
yeah, open houses can be so magical.
and
And
they're free.
my,
Your time isn't free, but the process
exactly.
is free. And with the NAR settlement, you don't have to go through all the you can actually create a connection or a chemistry with someone without having to
Absolutely.
present them a form that they have to sign.
Yes. And it just seemed like the easiest way to get in front of people and practice,
Hmm.
right? You have people coming to a house, talking about buying a house, and it gives you that comfort of just communicating with people
Hmm.
surrounding real estate, which I think is great. And then B, those are valid buyers that are coming in, some
Yes.
with representation, some without, right? And someone came into one of the open houses. I did them every single weekend when I was new to this business. And someone came into one of those open houses and they wanted to buy that house. And I was not the listing agent. Clearly, I was very new. And that was what triggered it from then on. But
You
I,
just
I
got to get
documented
traction
it.
going. And
Yep.
it's interesting with the whole open house thing where it's like back when I've been doing it a long time, but back when I did it, you literally had to post your open houses in the newspaper. And there wasn't all the access to online pictures. Now, for somebody, in my opinion, they're further down the process, further down the funnel because they've already seen amazing pictures online. They've already researched
Yeah,
everything. So for them to get off their couch, into their car, into the house, it's a, they're actually real buyers versus like in my day, people
absolutely.
came in because they couldn't find information outside of reading about it on the newspaper. But now I think agents are missing a window of huge opportunity
Uh,
not to do open houses if you can. And you can do other people's open houses in most states,
yeah,
even
yeah.
other
In California,
brokerages.
you can. Yeah,
Yeah, here in
yeah, and
Florida you
it's a
can
great
as well.
opportunity.
And when I lived in Minnesota, it's the same way. But it's like I did other people's open houses, 4 open houses a weekend until I got my first deal. Well, like
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do it. It's a
It's
good way.
great practice. And people
It
ask
is.
questions. You learn
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
public wants to know about real estate. It's like doing role playing, but actually doing the
With
thing.
real
It's a
people.
great experience.
And
Yeah. And
also, I teach agents that it's a great way to break into a luxury market or a higher price point market. Do other agents open houses in a price point that scares you a little bit, but do your homework and learn everything
absolutely.
about it. But you start seeing the patterns of what every price point wants or
Yeah.
expects. And it's a great way to, without, okay, I need to work for 10 years before I can do $1 million listing or whatever your price point. You're in California, it's higher, but still that price point scares new agents. I'm like, no, go for it.
Yeah.
Just get to
Yeah.
know it and learn it. But anyway,
Exactly.
back to
And
you.
oh, no, no, and I 100% agree with you. And that has evolved over time, right? And so in the middle of those 9 years, I started evolving it to asking for creative rights with open houses and
What's that
saying,
mean?
so I will ask to do their open house, but I ask that I can also do a house tour and
Mm.
that I can post on social media. And I always give credit where credit is
Oh,
due,
yeah.
but using that as a platform and people generally, it's not that you're faking it. It's just that people see you doing those activities. They don't always associate back. That's not your listing, right? You're still doing the activities. And
Hmm.
so it just became a really good way. And again, I've evolved out of that even now. But during that middle point where I wanted more business, I wanted to grow, like you said, into a slightly different price point.
Hmm.
It made sense to start doing that, but then also utilizing social media to really get it at all angles. But unfortunately, open houses aren't really part of my pillars now. Not unfortunately, but it's just evolved,
So what's
right?
your new
And
pillars?
yeah, so social media is a big pillar of mine. It's really sphere of influence, social media, and agent to agent referrals. Those
Hmm.
are really my three big pillars now. Mainly because I have one teenager, one almost teenager, and they're gone until 5 p.m. every day of the week. So weekends become really sacred for me as a
100%.
mom.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I love doing open houses and I still try to do a couple a month, but that's just evolved and that's the chapter that I'm in right now.
And you'll be in
And
a chapter when they're off to college where you can have the time if you want.
do whatever. Exactly. And so I cherish that time right now. And I have incredible agents that have really taken that open house playbook and done their own spin on it. And so it's great. I'm like, please do social media, please door knock, do
Hmm.
all of these things because that's how I grew my business. But it's just not the time and the place right now. So how do I get smarter with the time that I have? And
Right.
I am very much a full-time realtor, but sometimes full-time means I get up at 5, I work from 5 until about 12 p.m. and then I'm driving to sports for 4 hours
I
and
remember
then I
those
work again
days.
in the evenings. Yeah, and that's just what it
That's
looks
okay.
like for me.
And
Exactly.
that's the
And
beauty of
so
this industry is you can keep reinventing yourself and you can pivot
100%.
according to what you need. But then what I tell all agents is the back to the basics always work. The open
Mhm.
house, the door knocking, the things that people get off your computer and get into the product as much as you can.
Oh
Like,
yeah, and just get in front of people all
yeah,
day,
yeah,
every day if
yeah, yeah.
possible. Yeah. And although a lot of the activities that I do are behind a computer or are behind a phone, it's still then converting to meeting with a lot of
Right,
people in
right,
person. And
right.
so social media has been able to probably at this point 5x my productivity because people are watching content that I made when I'm not actively making it,
That's a good
right?
point.
And that has been really powerful to me, but I also have created insane systems around that. And I say insane because the only way I can function is with really good systems behind social media, behind open house process, no matter what it is. I have a system for it because then I can refer back to that because sometimes I'm like squirrel.
Oh, yeah. I
What am
think
I
you have
doing
to
all
be
the
AD to be in this industry.
exactly? And so I
But it
want to
probably
have it
goes
for
back to
that.
your profession in the tech world to
It
have like
does.
systems, because I find, even with myself, that a lot of times where I'm lacking the most is systems. But I don't love systems make sense, but I'm not like a natural, I'm more of a go with the flow person, but that's not smart.
You could teach me a few things on that though, because I would love to be more go with the flow once in a while. I would like to be less rigid, but I try to find the things that I'm a little crazy about and turn them into superpower, right? And so being able to do that for social media has been really powerful. Like I talked about this on a stage last week, I guess it was last week. And I had talked about I posted 145 videos in 113 days. That's insane, right? That is a crazy number. And people hear that, they're like, oh, I'm
It
never going to
scares
do
them,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm like, but you can. It
Do you
only
batch
takes
them?
me, yes.
Okay,
So
okay.
it
So
only takes
explain
me
that to
30
people
minutes
that
to
might
film.
not know how to do that.
Yeah, so batch filming basically means recording everything all at one time.
Okay.
Now,
So do you
I
plan a
have,
day and a certain number of hours, and then you
yes.
pre-plan what the topic is going to be?
Precisely.
Okay, okay.
So the filming is the batched portion,
Got
right?
it.
And everything else is the work leading up to that. So I do a lot of green screen hyperlocal videos, and then I do home tours. Now, home tours obviously requires me to be out of the house and touring those homes. So I treat it like showings. I
Mm-hmm.
have one day that I have a chunk of time and I use that time to film those houses. And the green screens, I do the research over the weekend because that's when I have some time in the morning with my coffee, right? So I do the research on the weekends. I script everything. And then on Mondays, it only takes me 30 minutes to record 7 videos. And
Okay.
I just knock it out. And there's a lot more, obviously, that has to be done. There's some editing, there's putting everything together, and then the posting. That will still take time. But once you become into that rhythm, it changes a lot of your perspective on social media.
That's a good
I
point.
was just yeah, I was just talking to an agent about this last week and I said people are so afraid of posting, they don't want to be critiqued, they're worried about this. You have to get to a point where you're posting so much and you're focused on the connections and you're focused on getting that information out there that you're too busy to care. I am not going to re-record a video because my hair is sticking up or I have something on my face. Don't care. And you know what? Someone's probably going to say something, but that also isn't going to be someone that I'm doing
No,
business
no.
with. Like
And
if you're,
actually, the algorithm is that the more people say things, the more attention you get.
it helps. Yes, I love the trolls sometimes. Sometimes they're just mean and I'm like,
Yeah.
go away. But in any case, I've created a system around this. So I know
What's your
what I'm doing
recording
every single
day?
day.
Or what's your week? Monday you do the
Yeah.
recordings.
Yeah.
Sunday or
So
Saturday, is it like news articles, the hyperlocal, the news? Do you
yeah.
feel ever that the news is old? Like by the time
No,
it doesn't matter, right?
so I am watching and taking in all of the city meetings. I don't always sit there and obviously watch the whole time. I usually use something like Notebook LM, which I have
Mhm.
learned from other people. And so you take that, you drop the YouTube video into there,
And
it pulls out the talking points, and
okay.
then you start getting deeper in research. There if you have a wide enough net on location, so for me, for instance, I know I say Silicon Valley, my main focus is San Jose, Morgan Hill, and Gilroy in California. And so those cities, I can produce usually more than enough information. And then I sort it by urgency,
Okay.
right? So the goal is to always get it in front of people before everyone has gotten it in front of people,
Makes
before
sense.
it hits the local newspapers even. And they're looking at the same information as I am.
Right.
So I just need to give people something before they've heard it everywhere else. And with that process, a lot of times I find more than 7 videos that I can research on topic. And then I just have a spreadsheet. So then I just add them to the list. I have a color coded list. As I post them on each platform, they get coded with that color, and then it just keeps going.
So your colors are based on urgency? Okay.
So they're based on urgency. And then I just have some that are a little more neutral, or a fun article about something, like an event that's coming up that isn't tomorrow. And so I can talk about it anytime in the next 2 weeks, for example. So I'm like, oh, let's put a pin in it. I want to have that on there. And especially on slower news weeks or slower weeks that there's city meetings, whatever, like the holidays can be very tricky, right? Everything's canceled. There's no city council meetings. There's nothing. And so you have to fill it in with other things. So
do you find city council meetings for, you mentioned like 3 different cities or 3 different areas. Do you find you go to the city council meeting for each area and then you find information?
I extract the information.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah. And then, for instance, Morgan Hill, which is my main community that I live in, they're doing a state of the city next week with the mayor. And those, I get so excited about.
You go in person or just?
So yes.
I think that'd be fun.
I know. And it's great, right? Again, it's getting you in front of more people, and it's been really powerful. I'll go to a school event, I'll go to my son's football game, and the moms will be like, oh my gosh, I see your content everywhere, right? And so it's really establishing that I'm part of the community.
That's right.
I know these things. I'm trying to provide value. And then that in turn turns to clients.
That's
but
awesome.
if I woke up every day though and said, I want to do content, it wouldn't be realistic.
You got to treat it like you got to systematize it. That makes total sense. Now, let me ask you, the green screen content, I know I've seen on Instagram, do you post it elsewhere? And then your home tours, what's your platform or system for that? Like, how do you generate it once it goes out? And do you do it on all platforms the same, or do you change it up?
Yeah, so this is where I'm working on improving right now, because I'm a big believer in getting into a process and routine and then building on top of it, right?
That makes sense.
I've been doing this style of videos since November, and now I'm so fully in the routine. Now I'm trying to build from there. So for green screens, I post them on Instagram, which then leads to Facebook, which is great. It just copycats it over, no time spent, which each one gets very different views and very different engagement. Fantastic. And then I also post those on TikTok. So I have 2 separate channels on TikTok. One is for these videos and one is for home tours.
Got it.
So three places at the moment. I am trying to think how to expand that without working harder on it. So I want to continue by building out on LinkedIn, which is a great place to put especially local community information, and then YouTube Shorts, and then turning that into blog space, newsletters, building on top of it again. And as far as the home tours, unfortunately, the only place that I can post the exact video that I do is on TikTok. I cannot post those because of how long they are on any other platform at this point. So the videos range anywhere from about 6.5 minutes to 10 minutes. And
what about YouTube? Couldn't it go there?
It could go as a long form, but you have to then change it to horizontal.
Oh, right. Or do it twice.
Again, doing it smarter, not harder, is still part of that. I have a rig now. I can use my little DJI Osmo Pocket and my phone at the same time and record. It's just a matter of doing it.
Right.
And
So
it's
do you
another
do
one.
the style of 7 home tours a week?
So I was doing that for quite a long time. I've been doing it for about a year. Unfortunately, the bandwidth doing home tours is definitely a lot more time consuming
Hmm.
than batch recording content for green screen, right? So now I post 3 a week
Okay.
on my TikTok channel, which is now in a place that it's just
Building.
going through and building. And so I would love to have more time to do more than that. But unfortunately, that's the reality for me. So 3 a week though still gets tons of engagement. Right now we're seeing some funkiness with TikTok. We have views that are great, and then the next day views are at 0. It's
Interesting.
very strange right now, but once they work out the kinks a little bit, I think we'll be back on track. And that is just, I'm in complete let it ride mode with that one. I'm less in the
Hmm.
build mode with that one now.
So with both of those styles, which take time and intention, have you, obviously you're systemized, so I'm sure you have, like, how have you tracked which has brought you business? Is one doing better than the other, or are they equal, or what's your thoughts on that?
So the TikTok channel with the home tours is definitely the one that gives me the most business, but I've been
Oh,
doing it for over a year.
okay.
So I always go through the mindset, if I'm going to try something new, I need to give it 12 months.
Got it.
And I really don't, I care what the data says, but I don't care as much until I hit a landmark and I'm like, okay, this is either working, I'm connecting with more people, this is fantastic, or this isn't working, I need to change or evolve this.
Right.
So with the home tours, that's my bread and butter because it's been going for, I think it's been a little over a year now. So that one is really sustaining a lot of business, lead gen, things like that. Instagram has been and will always be something that continuously gives me business because it gets me in front of people, but it also connects me with new agents.
Hmm.
And that is where the agent to agent referral business comes from, right? So even though I'm not gonna buy a house from you necessarily, I'm still watching your content and
Right.
I'll think of you when I have a client moving.
Right.
So
Right.
that's really the goal there. And now I'm building the community. Now I'm
That's
starting to
cool.
get
Yeah.
more people hyper locally that are following, and that turns into fantastic hyper local business. So I have one
Yeah.
listing coming
Yeah.
up from this content. I have a few more in the pipeline. So it definitely is building. It's the long game.
It
I
is.
just
You're
have
right.
to
That's
look
a
at
good
it that way.
perspective. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So outside of that, are there other pillars that you're using? That this podcast is about people rewriting real estate, doing things that are not obvious, and open house
Yeah.
and door knocking will always work. But to get an agent outside of their comfort zone to do something like this is, I think, a fabulous idea. And I think that your message of doing it for 12 months is key, because
Yeah.
all of us with our monkey brain. I did it for 3 weeks. It didn't work. Screw it. I'm going
Right.
back and buying leads on Zillow, and then I'm doing this, and then I'm
Right.
doing that. But I try and tell agents it's time consuming, it's thoughtful, but it's free. Our time isn't
Yes.
free, but shoot, it's still a valuable marketing tool that too many agents aren't taking advantage of.
Definitely. And you either have time or money in this business.
Right.
Really, truly, that's it, right? And so
100%.
if you're so busy that you can't bother to post on social media, or if social media isn't something that is part of your business and your brand, there's nothing wrong with that, right? We all know
Right.
very successful agents that do very traditional business
Mm-hmm.
tactics, and they work. Anything will
Mm-hmm.
work if you do it consistently. But I know a lot of people are like, I posted, like you said, for 3 weeks. I can't get past 400 views. The algorithm hates me. I'm like, the algorithm doesn't hate you. You haven't given it enough data. Like,
Right.
that's all it is. And it takes time. This new style of content that I've learned from many amazing agents that I started to do with green screens, it took months before I
Hmm.
started really, I felt like I was just talking to a void,
Did
right?
you
Like
keep it on your same channel or did you start a new channel to try and build it from?
I kept it on my same Instagram channel because it didn't vary enough from the content that I was doing
Okay,
to make
okay,
sense to create a new one. So
okay.
for TikTok, for the home tours, I created a brand new channel. I also am such a data nerd that I was like, I want the information like purely from those videos. That's all I want to see.
Hmm.
And so that made sense because I am not going to put my green screen videos and also my home
It would
tours
make sense,
on the
yeah.
same channel. It confuses everyone. So it made sense to have it separate.
But then on Instagram, then if you are wanting to do like a different reel or carousel or whatever, do you still put that into that channel? Or do you stay
Yeah,
consistent with
which
only green screen?
so I absolutely do still talk about my listings, talk about my buyers. I make sure to include that information out there. I just ran an event last week, so of course I had things like that there too. Does it hurt the algorithm? Probably a little bit because people are used to seeing one style and that is what you get rewarded for. But at the same time, that is still part of my business. So I'm
Hmm.
willing to give up a little bit of views or a little bit of
Right.
engagement because I still want that information to be out there.
And do you
But I
roll in the
think,
personal stuff, like your life as well?
yes, so that's actually exactly what I was going to say next. I think that is where the magic of stories comes in. So
Oh, good point.
I love to connect with followers, which is where in the stories, that's where you're going to connect with
Hmm.
followers. About 85% of my viewers on Reels are non followers. So I'm not getting in front of a ton of my actual direct audience of people that have followed me doing that. Stories is really where I get to connect with people. And the greatest conversations I've had are from that.
Okay.
And that's people get to see you every single day.
And I think that's a really good point that gets in the way of a lot of people, whereby you just said so many of your viewers on your actual feed are non-followers.
Yeah.
So we get too caught up in the, or too stuck in, I don't have that many followers, but that doesn't mean you don't have a lot of viewers. And I think that's two different things. So it's like you could have a ton of people look at it, and how do you know that they're non-followers when they look at your stuff?
It's data. You can look at it in your professional
Okay.
dashboard on Instagram, and it's great information. And
Yeah.
that's the way that algorithms work now on Instagram and on TikTok. You don't need, most people have figured this out, right? When you're scrolling, you'll see the same people over and over again, and you don't follow them.
Good
The
point.
algorithm has just learned that those are the
Send
types
that
of
to
videos
you.
you want.
Yeah. TikTok for
And
sure. And it's
oh my
interesting
gosh,
how you
the
can TikTok, like whatever, swipe out of TikTok, get it off your phone, and then go back in and get a whole new series. But if you
yeah.
watch something about babies or dogs for 2 seconds, and all of a sudden you're getting babies and dogs.
All being dogs. I know sometimes I'll search up something just to get it back in my algorithm.
Right, that's
I
a good
need this.
point.
I want to see more of this, like less bad stuff. Get this off my
I know the
page.
dark
Oh my gosh.
stuff. I accidentally
Yes.
went down the road of this criminal thing,
Don't
and I'm
do
like,
it.
oh no,
Nope.
the
Only
cheating
happy
husband
things.
or something like that.
No, I don't want this. Yeah, and it's just it's the reality that I don't think people understand that the followers thing doesn't matter. Like I have only this is the first year I've started to gain followers and I'm in the same trap, right? I'm like, "Oh, I only have 60. I only have 6,500 followers or whatever it is."
Yeah, I'm still under
And
2,000, and it
yeah, and
actually
it
got in my
doesn't
way
matter.
of starting this podcast. I'm like, nobody will want to be on my podcast if they look at my profile and they see that I have 1,800 followers, then I'm a nobody. It's like you get that
Yeah.
spin in your head, but I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway.
Good. And good,
And
right?
I
I
have
mean,
had some of the most amazingly, like you, I've been really impressed by who I've had on, but it's just ask. But it's the
yeah.
same thing with Instagram. I get in my own head for sure. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm wasting my space and my time. But to your point, consistency and some of the people that have decent following, are posting 3 times a day. Not that you have to, but
Yeah.
it does, you can't post too much,
Well,
really.
no, you can't. But at the same time, you can only do how much you can possibly do
What
in
your
your day,
bandwidth
right?
is, yeah.
And this sounds petty, but for people out there that are focused on their follower count, go to some of those people that you think have a good following count and look at their Reels views.
That's a good
They're
point.
actually not that amazing because they've either bought
Yes.
followers at some point. I'm not saying everyone does, but it does happen. And it's luckily, it seems like it's something of the past for the most part,
I
but
agree.
people still do it. And then also, they're not getting the right amount of engagement. The views don't matter. It's the shares, it's the saves, it's the
The
conversations,
comments,
right?
yeah.
And that's what I focus on. I want to see what content is shareable, that people are actively doing that on my channel, because those are the pieces of value. If I talk about, and it's funny because I've done a few videos where I just talk about the general market, no one cares. No one cares. It's not shareable. It's the same information. They can look online, they can chat GPT, they can do whatever. They have that information immediately, right? So it's like, what can we do that stands out, that's more human, that's going to get some kind of response? And for me, that's worked really well because I am a systems person. Like I said, I am not an influencer. I can't just pop on every day and think of content. That's not how my brain works. I need a system. And so this style of content has worked. Probably the most successful style that I've done to this point is the green screens and then also the TikTok home tours, because I've been able to create a system and a routine around it. I know what to expect every week.
So when you do green screens, do you use a teleprompter or do you off the cuff it? You use a teleprompter. It's on your phone. And then so you record yourself, and then do you edit in like CapCut? Or
yeah. So nothing that I do requires video editing. Same with TikTok home tours. There are no edits. It is just a raw video. The magic is putting it on the background of the green screen background, the 3 photos, which is what I've learned. And then just going in there with big view and a teleprompter, which is so easy. People think this is like the greatest hack of all time. They're like, how do you make eye contact? If you stand back here, you can't tell that someone isn't or they are not reading. And so it makes a huge difference. So I just put my phone further away from me. Right?
And also CapCut has the eye thing where it makes eye.
It does, but it looks super creepy.
Okay. I don't know. I've used it. It's because with me, because I can't read from far away, even with my glasses.
Yeah.
So it's like I have to play with it.
I looked really weird.
You have bigger eyes than me, so maybe that's why.
And my eyes are very light, so I don't know if that's what. It just made like a weird outline around my eyeball. It was strange. And I'm like, this does not look like me, and I don't want people to think that it's AI. And I'm constantly fighting against that anyway, because I'm like, this is really me. I'm really talking. Like, that's why I leave mistakes in. That's why all of this stuff. And yes, the eye contact thing, super easy, if that makes you feel better about posting it. But some agents that do this, they're like, I just don't care if it looks like I'm reading.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point too. You're right. I think that we overthink it. And in today's day and age, to your point about AI, people want less perfection and more reality. And so there's a value in kind of not looking like a perfect news person when you're talking. You're actually like, I'm a local in this area. I just want to share some really cool things that I learned.
Exactly.
So if somebody was wanting to start with this type of style and wanted to get the information like you've done from city meetings, do you go to, like, how do you find the city meetings that you're using?
Yeah. So in my areas, for example, they have them on YouTube for some cities and on Facebook for others. Now you can go to a city website and find the same information, but that is harder to peel out of, to convert it to a document that then you can read, right? Yeah. And so going to YouTube or Facebook, there's a lot of tools out there that you can just take that, embed it into something, and it'll give you an outline of the entire meeting, which is what Notebook LM does. So it's a very easy process to do that, because I don't personally have 3 hours and 25 minutes to listen to a city meeting. It's just,
except for next week for State of the City.
Well, State of the City, very different, because that will be interesting, and that's
drama
strategic
too.
for me too. Yeah. And that's strategic for me because I want people to see that I am physically there too.
Good point.
And there's some kind of connection, right? Like I am starting to meet with city officials. I'm starting to create those relationships because of this channel that I really need to be there. Right. And I want it to be known that I am excited about these things, and I am very much present in my own community, which as a resident, of course, I want to know this stuff anyway. So anyway, I totally went off track.
No, it's okay.
What I was saying, but what I think I was saying is just like pulling that information, making that into a system itself too. And if people are wanting to do this, I have an SOP, which is
because
very
you like
helpful.
Systems.
Yes. So standard operating procedures, love my SOP. So I have an entire SOP around the process. And again, I did not create this idea. I have learned from many other agents. And
some of them have already been on this podcast too. So.
I'm sure they have. And I am very grateful to all of these people, the Katie Days and the Bill Olsons of the world, because they have given everything to me to learn how to do this better. And how amazing is it? And I love our community for this reason. But you ask a question, they're like, here, I already figured this out. Here's some information. Now, what some people don't have is an SOP. Right. So I'm taking everything you're giving me and I'm documenting it, because one day I can then be able to give that to someone else. And that's like my version of love, right? Mm-hmm. Like I want to share my knowledge, but also my nerdiness at the same time. So I'm like, here's a whole document that tells you exactly what you need to do to make this content.
I love it. Oh my gosh, you've been so amazing with all your information and your time. But I do love to end the podcast with this question for everybody. And
oh gosh.
It's if you had to move from California to a state that you've never lived in, you have no sphere, you have no contacts, but you had to start over again, and you wanted to scale as quickly as possible, what would you do?
Oh my gosh, social media. These green screens are literally the best way to just immediately get built into a community, understand it from a people perspective, and also just get as much information as possible. Just getting out to as many people as you can, and then attending events in person. Being out there in the community, I think, is the best way to build trust with people in that community.
I love that. That's a great answer. I love it.
Oh, thanks. I was really nervous. I was like, oh God.
Thanks for listening to Rewriting Real Estate. If today's episode challenged your thinking or gave you a strategy worth trying, share it. The right move at the right time can change everything. Subscribe and listen in next week for more insight, more momentum, and more ways to grow your business your way.